outside the box Ateon. Just as anger has spilled into the streets and lots of protests and things taking place around us. As you know, with Outside the Box, we try to travel the route that is less thought of. So as I begin to study some of the material on paper myself, I realized that, as I stated before, very angry time for many people, very upset, very disappointed. And a lot of it has to do with just the idea of this guy doing what he did, this officer who apparently has issues with use of force, period. He's about 15, maybe 15 or 20 incidences that I know of, that I read about, that he had complaints against him. Only a few of those complaints were documented. Nothing in the documentation or nothing of the complaints had anything to do with racism to date. However, he did have the complaints. So as Outside the Box often does, I'd like to kind of maybe travel a road that's less traveled. Let's try to look at this a little bit deeper. Was it racism? Or was it just a bad cop committing a bad act that's not taught or trained in the academy? It was very refreshing to hear a pastor say that before he acts or makes decisions, he clearly wants to hear from God before he makes that decision. He clearly wanted to make sure that he has a peace in his spirit to make a move on something. And it's obvious that many Christians, along with the rest of the world, because I find many times that as both worlds collide, many Christians kind of follow suit with many of the people we see doing things in the world, as in responding right away, acting right away, feeling some kind of way, and generating anger and frustration based on their immediate first feeling without finding out all the fine details first. You ask why people are angry? Well, yesterday I received a message from someone with multiple hashtags stating why black people are angry and why they're responding the way they are. And in the midst of those hashtags, there were numerous incidences that happened, or incidences that took place, where there were black men, unarmed, female also, killed by law enforcement officers. The numbers are minimal compared to what I saw over the past 5 to 10 years in our cities and in our communities where I come from, which is the inner city or the urban community. It's very difficult for me to value one life over another. All life is important. And I'm praying for the family, not only of George and the family that has to live on without him, but also for the law enforcement family, because this cop's ignorant decision has allowed him and his family to experience something that he's probably going to regret for the rest of his life because of his stupid act. But what I want to look at closely is that this killing or any of the hashtags that I received yesterday pale in comparison to what we should genuinely be upset about. And I think the anger that we feel, the frustration that we feel, is a buildup of something that has nothing to do with law enforcement. It's a buildup that has to do with all the massive number of deaths that have taken place of black men around the country. And it's gone on for many years. And it not been at the hands of law enforcement or the judicial system. It's been at the hands of other people in the community. It's painful for us to watch. And one of the things I think we do many times, sometimes as Christians, but also of worldly people, is that we have a tendency to have displaced anger. So when we're upset, when we're angry, we act out. And we act out off of things that we selectively desire to act out about. Or it's a buildup of something. Or we find ourselves frustrated about one thing and we end up acting out on another. This situation is not any different in terms of death compared to what we've seen happen 2015, 2016, 2017, 18. These murders have happened in abundance over the years. 14,000 murders took place around 2015. Half of those 14,000 murders 7,000 of those murders was black on black murders. 96% of that 7,000, correction, 96% of that 7,000 was black on black murders. Now, how is it that 7,000 murders that take place at the hands of other civilians is more important than when a cop does it? And I don't know, maybe you can answer that question for me. Let's open up the dialogue. Is it because he's wearing a uniform? Is it because he took an oath or he's sworn in? Or is it just because we selectively desire to be upset about that more than we desire to be upset about the lives that are taken? These things happen every single day, and we are not responding to them, but yet we choose to respond to this.